Hi everyone, I'm Brendan from Pantaktica. I'll just wait another minute or so, just to allow a couple of other extra people to come on. I'll take this opportunity to just advertise a couple of our upcoming courses. In a couple of weeks' time, we're doing a face-to-face course on Pantaktica's first day of its 5-day self-protection package. The first day is your situational preparedness and awareness course. On this course, it's everything leading up to something happening. So it's about how to detect something before it happens. It's about how to detect hostile intent in a person that might be out there to do something bad to you before it happens, so that you can take evasive action before it even happens. Great thing to be on for coming up into the silly season in Australia. The course is on the 19th of October. It's being run at East Ipswich. Just check out my Facebook posts and it will give you more description of where that is. I'm also looking at having a course being run, I'm not sure where yet, but in a couple of weeks after that, probably in December, which will be our premium Mind Guard course. It'll be over 2 days. This is everything to do with mental self-defense. It's a very much an often overlooked component of self-defense is mental self-defense. Both that and the Pantaktica, well, the 5-day course, but in particular the first day, very overlooked components of self-defense. Quite often you have a lot of self-defense providers that'll go, this is what you do when A grabs you by B and you do C and you do D. Whereas on and Pantaktica, I'm more looking at it, A, for that preemptive, I know something's going to happen, I'm out of here, to keep you and your family safe, but also what we find in everyday life, particularly now with the online content, and just the way that people are behaving in our society at the moment. We're attacked every day mentally. It's very rare is it for someone to come at you with a stick or a knife or a gun or something like that. God forbid that ever happens to you. But every day there are narcissists and there are people out there that just muck around with your mind in order to get what they want. This is how to figure out what those people are, what they're up to, how it's affecting you, and how you can make yourself bulletproof in the mind and move through life happier. That combined with Pantaktica's course of threat assessments, preemptive threat assessments, will make you a pretty unstoppable object out in the community. And this is before even doing any type of self-defense that we're going to be going through tonight. So this is the third component to Pantaktica. There's 4. I won't talk about the fourth one. So one is the threat assessment course, one is the Mind Guard course, and of course, this is just the normal self-defense type courses, martial arts, combat arts, I like to call it, classes that are becoming available. I'm looking at doing more online content. This is my first one. I'm doing it this way. I do have other already pre-recorded classes that you will be able to soon purchase and do. So I hope that you enjoy tonight. Tonight we're looking at stick or blunt object defenses and disarms. I'm only going to do this for about 20 minutes or half an hour, so it's very limited to what I can do. But before we get started, I'd just like to do a disclaimer. And the disclaimer is that everything I do show you, anything you do happen to practice, you do at your own risk. Also, always consult a doctor before doing any physical activity. If anything happens while you're doing this, I suggest that you see a doctor first before doing it. And the last thing is just to consult your laws in your local area, just to make sure that what you do see here or the things that I bring up just fit in with your laws and you don't get yourself into trouble. So that's my disclaimers. So tonight I'm going over some combat arts. In particular, this comes from the Filipino Kali. There's components of Indonesian Silat and Jun Fan and Jeet Kune Do elements that are in there, but predominantly it's Filipino Kali. And this is my personal opinion, that there are 4 types of martial arts and they all kind of revolve around different types. And that is, there is the arts, there is sport-orientated combat arts, there are weapons-based combat arts, and then there's the self-defense, true self-defense combat arts. Everything you happen to do, and tonight just happens to be Kali, but everything that you do in the future will be one of those, and they all meet in the middle. So you can do what I would suggest is a support-based combat art, let's say boxing, predominantly there for two people competing in the ring. It's got rules and all the rest. Can it be used for self-defense? Absolutely. Can it be used just for enjoyment and the art of it? Absolutely. You have other things that are just solely weapons-based. Let's say kendo. It's all about how to use a sword. Can it be used as an art? Absolutely. Can it be used as a sport? Absolutely. Is there elements of self-defense in there? Absolutely. What's it predominantly about? It's about using a sword. Okay, so they all meet in the middle, but they predominantly have one of those areas. Okay, so we're going to be talking about blunt objects or sticks. I'm just going to pick up my stick right here. What I've got in front of me, this is a classical Kali type rattan. It is not an oak type wood that you would have from a Japanese or a mainland martial art. And I prefer these for training. I'll just bring it up closer just so you can see. You can see right here where it flails. So when you use the stick a lot, these ones, they'll flail like that and they'll sort of break off rather than splintering and flying in different directions. So just for safety purposes, I like using these. I know Kali uses these, but I think in a lot of other Japanese systems and that, I will probably try to use this type of stick. It's a nice weighty stick as well, but it can go fast. When you hold on to the stick, there are many different systems or arts that teach you to hold in different ways. For the purposes of tonight, all we're going to do is be one half of a grip from the bottom. So you have the tip, you have the shaft, you have the pummel. So just a little bit off the bottom. There are some arts there that'll be right on the bottom. There'll be some that'll be in the middle. There'll be some that'll be two hands. This is sort of what you commonly get as well in the self-defense realm. People will pick up a stick and they'll predominantly have it in that sort of area, just in case it slips or anything like that. In Kali, this part of the stick is used a lot for hooking in and striking back strikes and things like that in confined spaces, as well as the long shaft and the tip. So that's when it comes to holding the stick, that's what it's going to be. And tonight is just going to be single stick, single hand. So no back strikes or anything like that tonight. All it's going to be is simply like that. Right, so let's go over how we're actually going to use the stick. And there are many different striking angles and attacks that you can do. And these can be done standing, kneeling, lying down, and vice versa. We are going to just highlight two tonight. We only have about 20 minutes, half an hour. So we're only going to highlight two, and that is the diagonal downwards forehand and backhand strike. And all that really does is it looks like going from shoulder to hip. Turn around and shoulder to hip. Shoulder to hip. Shoulder to hip. Predominantly most of the time, the stick hand will be with your leg forward. Not always. You can be back. The difference is in the reach. So if you want to use your reach, you're predominantly with your front leg will be where the stick is. So shoulder to hip, shoulder to hip. Now you notice that I'm not chopping at it, although you might see that in self-defense type situations. Pretend that there is a blade on one part of your stick and you're basically slicing through and slicing through, like you would if you were cutting like a big piece of steak hanging up in front of you. Slicing through, slicing through. I like to keep the other hand just here because you can defend yourself and do grabs and all sorts of it rather than down by your side or at your back. Have it just sort of here in front of you. Also protects your body a little bit too. Makes you a bit more compact and a bit more stronger. So shoulder to hip, shoulder to hip. Right. Now I'm going to get my son to come up here to help me. This is Blake. He's going to grab a stick as well. He's my crash test dummy for tonight. So for this bit here, I'll just put my stick down. When it comes to a stick and stick self-defense, there are two things really that are options for you. If the stick is held out, here, the very, 15 centimeters or so of the stick is pretty much the main spot that you want to strike someone. If someone wants to hit me, they want to hit me with that sort of area, right? So this is where it hurts. This is where he's aiming at. This is where he's trying to hit. He's not trying to hit with this part down here. He wants this bit, right? So if we look at the stick and how it'll feel on my body when it hits, this hurts a lot. As I get closer towards the hand, it doesn't hurt as much. It's still going to hurt, but it's not going to hurt as much as this bit here. Yep. So this is the hurty bit. Hurts more, hurts a lot. That's the hurts most bit right here. So you have two options. Most of the time you can be out of reach. If you're able to judge distances, out of reach is good. Matter shouldn't occupy the same place at the same time, right? So anything from here is outside of, and if it is an option, run. Yep, get out of there as much as you possibly can. So that's option number one, is if you're outside of distance and you're committed and you're able to do it, move, go somewhere else, get out. Don't be involved in it. Don't let that stick hit you. Yep, be out of the way of it. If you decide that you want to move in, because that's your second option, because you don't want this to be the option, yep. One option is running. The other option is charging in. So now you're either right up here where it doesn't hurt as much, or now you're in an area where you're more in the arm area or the body. So even if I do grab onto Blake, let's say some sort of clutch, and he wants to try and hit me with a stick, he's now sort of using his wrist sort of area. Yeah, it might hurt, but it's not going to hurt as much as this bit here when he's swinging it really hard, right? So I'm not going to cover this bit here when you're outside the stick. That's for the one-day situational protection and awareness course. That's everything right up to this point here to be able to go, I don't want to be anywhere near the stick. I'll leave that for that course. Please come to it, and you'll learn techniques and tactics around that. What I'm going to look at tonight is everything that is in this area and a little bit here. Yep. Sorry, I've got notes here I'm just going with. Right, impact disarms. So there are 5 main disarms, main ones. There's hundreds, thousands, whatever art you happen to do, there'll be heaps of them. Within Kali, there's 5 main ones. I'm going to cover 2 of them tonight. The first one is if it's a stick-on-stick situation. So my assailant has a stick, and I've got a stick. We're both holding it in the same way, just for ease for tonight. Now, what Blake's going to do is he's just going to do his normal strikes, so shoulder to hip, shoulder to hip. You can see where he's hitting here. Now, if he goes back to the open hand strike and just pauses there for a second, I have a stick as well. I'm just outside of reach. I don't want to be in that ouchie area, right? So if he swings his stick and just holds it sort of close to me, I'm out here. All I'm going to simply do is with the stick is I'm going to strike, like what Bruce Lee always says in Jeet Kune Do and Jun Fan, is I'm going to strike the closest weapon that you have that is to me. And that is anywhere from the hand, the thumb, the fingers, the forehand, anything up to the elbow area. For the purposes of training, all I'm going to do is I'm going to tap. Yep. If he does the backhand, I'm just going to simply tap. Yep. He comes forehand, I'm just going to tap. And all I'm doing is I'm getting that precision and that aiming, and I'm never getting hit by the stick, and I'm always outside of range, but I'm striking him on the closest weapon that is to me. Now, I'm just tapping it, right? I'm just tapping it. Realistically, just leave your stick down. I'm hitting it, right? And I'm hitting it hard in that area. Imagine now I've hit really hard anywhere from your thumb, your fingers, your forearm, your wrist, right up to elbow. You're probably not going to be holding onto that stick for much longer, if at all. Yep, that's a disarm. Yep. So if the stick comes in again, all I'm simply doing is I'm just tapping, tapping, tapping. You can probably hear it there in the microphone. Just tapping nice and gently. Blake could be feeling it, but it's not going to be killing him. It's not going to hurt him. You can do it in training, and you can do it for a long time. You can switch hands and do it on the other hands too. We're just going to focus on our preferred, our right. So that's one of your disarms. Now, this particular disarm, let's say Blake drops that and now picks up a knife. Now, just to show you this is a knife, a training knife that's predominantly used in the Inisado martial arts sort of realm. You can see it's not real. It's just a bit of metal. It's got holes in it. It's blunt, but it's in the shape of a knife. right? So let's say I've got a stick and Blake's got a knife. He does the same sort of cut. He's trying to come at me with that forehand, backhand strike. I can do exactly the same thing. So this same striking methodology works no matter if he's got a knife and I happen to pick up a fence paling or a stick that's nearby and he's got a knife and I've got no way of getting out of it and I try and hit him, bang, on that knife. That knife's going to go flying somewhere and you're going to be a bit safer, okay? Not saying that is a really good thing to do. Always try and avoid knife contact as much as possible, but if you get stuck in one of those situations and you happen to have a weapon, that could be an option, yeah? The other option as well, and once again, we're touching on that one-day course, if Blake puts the knife away, let's say predominantly a lot of people will carry any sort of weapon in the belt line area or on the front of the chest. You can see Blake's got it there, like he's going to draw it. And it could be that, you know, I've got the stick. I can see that he's got a knife. I'm saying, back off, mate. Don't do it. Don't do it. And he decides to go for the knife and I can see he's about to pull it out. I can straight away strike there, depending on which side it is. Bang, bang, take it straight out of action. Then he can't get to the knife. The knife might drop on the floor or he might think twice about coming at you with a knife. Yep. Stick or knife, still not a good option. Get away from a knife. Yep. But I'm just showing that this stick on stick also transcribes or moves over to the stick or knife. And it could be other things too, stick on firearm. Let's say that's a firearm. He goes to draw it, I can strike it. Once again, you don't want to be anywhere near a firearm in these sort of situations, right? Right, so now if he puts the knife down and he picks up his stick again, now we're moving into the blocking area. So if he does his open hand and backhand strikes again, you can see it there, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is if I get stuck and I need to move in, I've got a stick, comes through on the forehand, all I'm going to simply do, and I'm going to break it down to two hands, is stick on stick. You want to stop that stick from hitting you, right? Your other hand, remember I predominantly like it to be here, that hand is simply going to go somewhere on the hand and check it. You might miss, it could be in other spots, but predominantly you want it sort of in that hand. So come back that way again, and all it simply is you're using the stick and you're using the hand here and grabbing on. This helps with a couple of other disarms which we're not covering tonight. Yep. Plus it helps with the next disarm that we're about to do. So the strike comes in. If I do the strike and I don't check with the hand, watch what happens with the stick. So Blake's stick comes through and it comes through this way and it can still strike me. Maybe. Yep. Real combat is not a science or an art. It's a whole heap of random events that hopefully go your way with a bit of training. If it comes in and I just do the stick part, there's a chance that's going to go through and still hit me. If I just miss with that and I use the stick, and I'm able to block with a hand, he can still swing that stick around and still hit me. So ideally, if you're going in, you want both things to happen and you want movement to happen at the same time. Yep. If I stay out here and do it and don't move, I'm at that hurdy bit. If it comes in and I move, even if I miss all this, what's going to happen is I'm going to get hit with maybe some area that doesn't hurt as much. Yep. That's another class, right? Because what his next move is, hey, you're too close to me, I still want to use a stick. So his next move will be, I need some space. He's going to back up and try and hit me again. And I'm going to have to try and do something again or get out. Yep. Discussion for another time. So all I want is the foot to move in, hand on hand, blocking the stick. If he goes the backhand, it's exactly the same. Notice I've moved, I've checked the hand, I've blocked the stick. Yep, comes back the other way, and it's just tip up. Now, if you happen to be able to see what I'm doing with my feet, in the Kali world, it's just called a female triangle. So think of a triangle. It's female. Male is with the point going forward. Female is with the point at the back. And all I'm simply doing is as he comes in one way, I block that way. This is just a drill, right? If he comes the other way, I switch feet. In real life, you're not going to sit there and go block and block and block and block. The person's not going to sit there and keep doing that to you, yeah? This is just a drill to get your body moving, mechanics, and the idea going, right? So now, this brings us in to another thing that you can use in your favor if this happens is if you block, it's called sliding stick. So a bit like what Blake did before, and I've checked here, but what can happen is that stick is on here and it simply can slide down. This might happen by a mistake or you can actually aim to do it. You block. Once you know the stick is stopped moving, you can bring the stick down and strike on the thumb or the hand. You just got to watch this. Yeah. But remember, you've stopped it from going anywhere, and you can strike. Yeah. If it comes on the backhand, boom, we've blocked it. This isn't moving, and you can hit here on the hand. Yep. You do it hard enough, they're probably going to drop the stick. Yep. So that's called sliding stick. The next thing is the snake disarm, which is the second disarm that we're going to cover. I'm going to do this with the stick and without the stick. So as a stick comes in, we do that block that we've just done. All I'm going to simply do is leave my stick there because I don't want his stick to move. With the hand that's checked on Blake's hand, is I'm going to simply rotate a really small circle underneath his forearm so that now my palm is facing towards his face. Yep. Notice now my stick has disengaged. His stick is now under my armpit, so it's harder for him to move. Yep. And now from here, for the purposes of just training, all I'm going to do is I'm going to reach past his arm, and now I've got his stick. So if it comes in, I do the block and hand check. Leave the stick there. This hand opens up, goes underneath, small circle, so that now you have the palm up, right, and body in, hugging onto the arm. Yep. In real life, you would simply go crack and hit the person in the face. Now I have two sticks. You can throw one away or run or whatever you want to do. Strike comes in, check. If I do a big circle, and this is another class, is if I do a big circle, Blake can just pull the stick straight out. And now I'm back to square one again, right? So the idea is to check it, and that was a bit quicker, is to hook all this in here so that it's actually jammed in. If Blake wants to pull on it, and in real life, I'm not going to stop here, right? If we're doing it a little bit faster and a little bit more real, that's the sort of thing I'm looking at. Yep. Is this hard to do in real life? We might have to move away from them. Is this really hard to do if he's really coming at me with really hard with a stick? Absolutely. But is there a chance also that as you know, he's not going to do it to me now because he'll knock me out. But if it comes at me really hard with that stick and I end up in this sort of situation, might you end up being in that position? Maybe. And then at least you've got this. Okay? Art versus real life. If he goes to the backhand, we've done the check already before. This time, the stick is going to pass in front of your body rather than go under the arm. So now you want to check that stick for as long as you possibly can so he doesn't hit you in the groin. Once again, the hand is going to go circular and it's going to go the opposite way. And it's going to go nice and tight so that now the stick is caught in the crook of the elbow. And then I get through. If he goes backhand again, if I go big circle, look what happens. Yep. If I don't check the stick as it goes to the groin, bang, he can hit me there. Yep. I want to keep it checked for as long as possible without him turning his wrist because we're going slow. Keep it all nice and tight. Now I've struck past, but this would be a strike to the head of the face. Now I have two sticks. So, backhand again. Forehand. And you can see there as well as the stick comes in. Boom, I've checked it. I've done this. Look what I'm doing with this stick. One of the beautiful things about Carly is just the multiple hits that occur throughout an action. Yep, go forehand. This way, hit. Backhand. Hit again, hit. Now, I'm going to get rid of my stick because this disarm can also be used with me being empty hand. So now as the strike comes in, I'm doing the same thing, but this time I'm not going to let the stick hit my hand like I would block it with the stick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check it now so that one hand is on top of his hand. That blocks that hinge from moving. The other hand, you have a variety of different options. You can go elbow, you can go shoulder, you can go face, eyes. Bruce Lee would go face, eyes. Yep, if he goes again, I'm going to check the shoulder, and you can see the body movement if you hit hard enough. Yeah, I can, but just beware. Now he's taking a step back. He's still got the stick. What's he going to do with the stick? He's got space. He's got to try and hit you. Exactly. All right. So here comes forehand. Boom. Exactly the same thing. This hand stays here. Just remember that these are all hinges. So if you don't block, let's say the wrist, that's going to happen. Yep. If you don't block the elbow, that's going to happen. If you don't block the shoulder, that's going to happen. Yep. So nice area, especially the hand, because that's where the stick is. Block it there and anywhere else in between or the face. Now what's going to happen is exactly the same, except now you haven't got the stick. And all it is that you've got a snake underneath. Hand is available. Hit. I've now got the stick. So the strike comes in again. Got the stick. If he goes backhand, same thing. Check. I'm checking just here, but you can go eyes. Yep. Make sure you check here. Once that's checked, then all that simply happens is this hand is going to monitor the stick. This hand is going to scoop under. So now you're checking the stick. Remember before we were worried about it being hit in the groin? I'm going to monitor that stick, do exactly the same move, and you can see now the stick is caught in the crook of the elbow. And now it's simply punch or whatever I want. The stick might fall out, I might want it, I might kick it away, I might have it stuck and I might be able to use it. Sorry, Son's giving me advice on where the camera is so you can see. So hopefully it's helping. Goes backhand, underneath, around, and block off. Right, let's just do a very quick revision because that's all I want to cover today. So let's go with just a revision on the first disarm, which is the strikes. So as he comes, we're just going to hit. That's disarm number one. Disarm number two is as the stick comes in, we block and check. Snake, take the weapon out. On the other side. Just doing a few of these for repetition so you can see it. Empty hand. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that. There is more to it. There is another 3 disarms, predominantly used within Kali. There are many others and many other variations, but they're the first 2 of the main 5. Parts of this are also on the Pantaktica 2, 3, 4, and 5 day components. I spoke before about a course coming up, which was all about day 1, which was all about picking out a threat. The way that the course is broken down is that the first day is all about being able to pick something out a little bit distance out. And now days 2 and 3 are in that sort of space that we're working in now, where you just need to disengage and get away. So now it breaks down blunt, stick, unarmed, and firearms defences of how people will draw, how they'll hold it. It breaks it right down to show you, you might be able to pick out someone who's pulling a knife out and be able to go, I know exactly how they're going to hold it or what they're going to do. I know a lot of the strikes, because the best way of learning to defend yourself against anything is actually knowing how to do the techniques yourself. So if you know a lot of the stick techniques and can do them yourself, you've at least seen it and you can at least defend against it. And then days 4 and 5 of the course, go right into, you've missed it or you can't avoid it. This is very basic defense. However, it's at a higher threshold of, someone's really trying to do something bad to you, and you have to get away with your life and your family's life. Check out my Facebook, my Instagram, and now my YouTube channels. If you like what you see, I keep putting content on. If there's anything I see from anyone else, you'll see stuff in there from some of my other instructors like Jean-Jacques Machado and a couple of others. Sifu Francis Fong, who does Wing Chun. Jump online, have a look at that content. That's the sort of stuff that I'm about. That's the sort of stuff that I'm learning. I do many other martial arts as well, and I hope to bring all that content to you in a usable fashion. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining me, and I wish you a good night. See you later.